Michael.
And I'm Abby.
And this week on Pricing Weekly, we're going to talk about a really interesting topic. We're going to talk about back to school. So, Abby, I was shopping the other day. So my two youngest, they're going to be going into kindergarten. So I got 4 kids going to school. So a lot of stuff to buy. And I noticed kind of 2 things. Price tags, they're getting up there. And checking out at the register, it was a pretty big bill. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of touch upon what we're seeing given this time of year.
So it's interesting you brought that up. USA Today actually had an article, and they were saying about 24% of parents in the U.S. were planning on going into debt during this back-to-school shopping season. About 13% of parents were actually going to use buy now, pay later services as well. And we know that there's been significant inflation on some of the key categories, like paper products are up by like 23%, textbooks were up by 8%, clothing a bit more muted, but it's definitely a consideration.
Well, it's interesting because if you think about kind of the basic needs and necessities and where they rank in terms of elasticity, right? We know shelter, we know food you have to eat, but education is up there, right? Sending your kids to school, making sure they have the right supply. So my guess is that, when we look at some of these things, they're very inelastic. You can really kind of push the price and people are going to buy them because it's that time of year. It's very occasion based.
That's an interesting point because I think totally from the consumer's perspective, it's going to be much more inelastic, but from the retailer's perspective and from the supplier's perspective, they might look at it very differently because the retailers, we know, like Target, they introduced like a $5 backpack and they had a bunch of essential kind of bundles that they put together for $20, which, $5 backpack, that's pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Pricing.
And one of the things that we're seeing in the numbers as well is that a lot of the parents are saying that they're going to try much harder to find the deals. They're going to spend a lot more time searching to make sure they get some of those better discounts or better offerings as they go back into this back to school shopping season.
And I think the critical thing is having a good idea, especially if you're a supplier in this area, what that propensity on willingness to pay is and where you truly are dealing with commodities where your customers can easily trade off, or where you might be a bit more differentiated and that you have more pricing power, or that your customers, being the retailer in some cases, won't be able to walk away from you due to switching costs or due to time in the season or whatever that's going to look like.
Yeah, very interesting. We'll be excited to see what comes out from some of these retailers' results in the coming weeks and months.
Happy shopping.
Thanks, everyone.